share with you the story from last night. We decided we were going to bring my dad's truck to the cemetery. Well, my father had other ideas. Last night, when I tried to rearrange the cars in the driveway, the horn started honking. And I moved the truck, and I came in the house, and Trevor said, "Why were you honking the horn?" And I'm thinking, "I wasn't touching the horn." But I wasn't going to tell Trevor that. So this morning, I pick it up, and I go out, get my mom, take her up to the funeral home, come back, pull in the driveway, come in the house, and I go, "Well, Trev, you're going to be driving your car." Because my father had the flattest tire I have ever seen in my life. Who knew? Mr. ran over something. So anyway, Dad, you got your wish. The truck did not go to the cemetery. So I printed this out in 2 different fonts, and I'm going with the bigger one because there may be tears. Over the past week, I've spent a lot of time thinking about my dad and about how much he meant to me and how I could possibly describe all those things that made him so wonderful. One of the things I've always envied about my parents is that they're very social people and they have a lot of friends. That was never more evident than this past week as the phone never stopped ringing. At one point, Trevor and I actually kidnapped my mom, took her out for a few hours because the house phone, her cell phone, and even my dad's cell phone were ringing at the same time. All the calls were from family and friends who were calling to extend their condolences. And everyone who called asked the same question: how can I help? And is there anything that I can do? Numerous times, I was just simply overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and support for my family, especially for my mom. When I say that my parents have a lot of friends, I don't mean like Facebook or mere acquaintances. I mean real friends, like those who show up on your doorstep with a dish in hand, or those who stop by because they know you've been ill. These were the people who my parents talked to all the time. Some of them lived locally, some of them did not, and it was very baffling to me because I couldn't figure out how or when did my parents become so popular. We were by no means rich. We didn't live in a big house. We didn't drive fancy cars. We didn't wear designer label clothes. We lived a rather simple life. In reality, we had exactly what we needed: a roof over our head, food in our bellies, and clothes on our backs. But more important than that, we always knew that our parents loved us, cherished us, and were there to support us in everything that we did. My father often worked 2 or 3 jobs because he wanted my mom to be able to stay at home with us while we were in school. And that's a luxury that most families cannot afford. And my dad willingly worked these extra hours because he felt so strongly about it. On the flip side, my mother was not your average stay-at-home mom. She volunteered for everything. She was a den mother for Boy Scouts, a cadet leader for Girl Scouts, a homeroom mother for trips and projects. She was the taxi driver taking us to dance lessons. We were encouraged to participate in sports and extracurricular activities at school, and we all played instruments in the school band. While we were in school, all of us had part-time jobs, which instilled in us a sense of responsibility and a strong work ethic. When Sundays came, we went to church together, and afterwards we spent the day together as a family. Growing up, our house had an open-door policy, and as such, you never knew who was going to be at the house when you got home or who was coming for dinner. Regardless of who it was a family affair, and everyone had a job to do, whether it was entertaining guests, setting the table, helping to cook, or cleaning up afterwards. Everyone took part. My parents have been married for 55 years, and I think that the way in which they raised us is a true testament to who they are as individuals. They work together as partners, leading by example and teaching us exactly what we needed to become responsible adults. I've thought a lot about my dad this week, and although he is no longer here with us physically, whether we realize it or not, each one of us has a piece of him which we will hold forever. For my brother Frank, it is your love of nature and being outdoors that makes you special. You have a kind and gentle heart. You enjoy the simple things in life, like sitting outside on a beautiful spring day, just soaking up the sun's rays while listening to the birds. You are carefree and happy, living in the moment and enjoying the simple pleasures of life, just like Dad would have done. For Terry, it is your stubbornness, which is not always a bad thing, because there are times when we rush to judge and then realize that we are wrong. You are steadfast like a rock. You gather your facts, present your case, stand firm to your beliefs, and hold your ground when others try to sway you, just like Dad would have done. You also have another trait that is unique to you. If you ever hear my sister, when she introduces me, she says, "This is my sister Mary. She's the pretty one." With her blonde hair and blue eyes. Well, what she never knew is that I envied her, because if you look closely at Frank and Tom and I, you would see the obvious. Of the 4 children, you are the only one who looks like Dad. You have his skin tone, his hair color, and his beautiful brown eyes. This is a special gift that was given only to you. As my father got older, and over the past year, he has been falling a lot. And so here's when I'm going to pick on my sister. Oh, yes. My dad had a little spill in the kitchen, and after he fell, we realized he couldn't be left alone. So my mom, if she had to, doctor's appointment or had to go somewhere, we had elder care. So my sister, my father one day wanted to go from the chair to the couch. Well, he did a slow fall. And my sister said, "Well, can't you kind of like shimmy yourself?" She was bargaining with him, trying to figure out how he could get himself to the couch. And then she said, "We're gonna have to tell Mom." And of course, she was more afraid of that than calling 911. So finally, my dad says, "Well, I just can't do it. You're gonna have to call 911. So she called, they came. And they came in and they said, "Frank, what happened?" He went, "She hit me." And my sister went, "Oh my God, why did you tell him that?" So as my father told me this story, and I am laughing hysterically, he says, "Mom's got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. What are you doing?" He never fell on my watch. For my brother-in-law, Michael, how do we describe my dad's relationship with Michael? Well, suffice it to say, this started as a social experiment that backfired on my dad. If any of you know this story, you know what I'm talking about. My dad and Michael worked together many years ago. My dad brought Michael home with the intention of fixing him up with my cousin Florence. Instead, Michael met and married my sister. Enough said. Well, yeah, my father never tried that one again. In all seriousness, my dad and